I'd like to welcome you back to the Bloody Fork Homestead. You're looking at the water trough that the spring is feeding, and I'm standing in the garden on this side of it. And my plan eventually is to have up above here the two 240-gallon totes that the spring will feed into, and then I'll have one of those that will feed into the trough, and this is where the animals can continue to get their water, and also for the garden. If you'll notice on the trough, I have two spickets. I use these for watering, for a hose, and also for a couple of soaker hoses. And there's also an overflow pipe, and the water continually flowing into it, it overflows. So I use these for watering. I have two black pipes, half-inch black pipes that feed from this. And the pipes at the end of them, I have them tied off and some holes drilled in them. So they're basically, I'm using the overflow from the trough for some watering in the garden. Right now, this particular pipe is going down to feed, to water, I should say, the squash. And I'm finding that it's giving us plenty of moisture. I did the asparagus here yesterday, but for the squash beds, this pipe is going down and watering the squash beds. We have some winter squash here, a butternut, and right now it's watering some of the straight neck squash. And I have a zucchini bed and some cucumbers down at the bottom part. But right now, the overflow will keep this well watered. And I have another pipe that's longer that can feed the whole other side of the garden, which has a lot of fruit, raspberries and blackberries, and also grapes and some apple trees and a few longer veggie rows. But the pipe that I have going over that way, I can just simply exchange it and water that side of the garden. Works out pretty good, and especially when I get the other water totes, we'll have plenty of water for the garden. But water, the most important thing to have for the homestead, and we're thankful to have the water that God's provided here, both in the way of a continually flowing creek and springs in the mountains.